What is up, everybody? Welcome on in to another episode of Press Coverage, where we help you gain an edge in fantasy football. I'm your host, as always, Wyatt Bertalone. With me tonight, returning guest Tyler Orginski from FTN. Tyler, how's it going? How's your season so far?
Oh, season's going great so far. I think we dealt with a little bit of injuries, maybe not some good picks in the first couple weeks, but everything's kind of leveled out here. In most of the leagues that I care about, I'm winning. Obviously, always got a couple rebuilds on the Dynasty side of things where I'm losing, but that's part of the plan. But the season is going well through about halfway point so far, so cannot complain. Can't believe it's halfway through, dude.
Yeah, 10-5 across my leagues, not counting rebuilds, right? So today was trade deadline day. I just wanted to quickly ask you what you thought was like the most impactful trade that happened today.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it from two lenses. Like, there's the football side and there's like the fantasy side of things. Like, obviously, right. I think the most impactful trade is probably going to be the Sauce Gardner trade over to the Colts. Mm-hmm. 2 firsts. I mean, good for the Jets getting 2 firsts out of Sauce Gardner. I don't think he's necessarily the corner that he was a couple of years ago. I think he's still solid, and they need the help. Yeah. I think they were starting like a really 7th round. Yeah, they were starting like a 7th round rookie recently, and he's clearly going to step in, and it's clearly going to be a huge upgrade for what they were doing there. But I thought it was a little bit steep. I think that's probably the most impactful trade. And then, from a fantasy standpoint, there wasn't a ton out there that stuck out. I think Jacoby Myers is probably the one that we kind of have to look at. Parker Washington was kind of popping a little bit there now that Brian Thomas is dinged up, and Hunter is on IR. And I was really kind of looking at Parker Washington as more of a pretty solid priority waiver ad. And now might have to kind of reel that back a little bit, as we know that Myers is good and he could command a solid target share. And I think he probably has a pretty solid role there. I mean, when Brian Thomas is out and Hunter is out, actually, I don't know how long Brian Thomas is out for, but they could conceivably run with Parker Washington and Myers, and things should probably be okay. So I think that was the big one. It was a little bit more, I would say, interesting than years past, right? We definitely wanted to see some other kind of fantasy assets get moved on the before the trade deadline, but definitely more excitement than I can remember than the last couple of years.
I definitely dialed back some fab bids on Parker Washington after the trade news that I had sitting waiting for tomorrow morning. You bring up Sauce Gardner. I actually think that is an impactful dynasty trade, because doesn't that kind of give you confidence that they think that Daniel Jones is their quarterback moving forward? Like, if you're the Colts and you spend that capital, isn't that confidence in what you have currently?
That's a great way of thinking about it, honestly. I didn't break it down that far, Wyatt, and I actually kind of like that mindset and that thought process where they are spending their future capital right now and going all in, and presumably that means you're going all in with Daniel Jones. So, yeah, I mean, I think that certainly means that this bodes well for what they're thinking about, at least winning now. Do you consider like Daniel Jones like a smash accepted? Like, if you need a quarterback and you have your first sitting around, would you move your first for Daniel Jones? No questions asked.
I think so. I think he's at base first.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair too. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
On a team before the season, that I was going into the season, it was a team where I was like, I was kind of on the edge of, I don't know, maybe this team can compete if things break right, but like just looking at it as is, this team should probably start selling. And I had my quarterbacks on that team were Josh Allen, Tua, and Daniel Jones. And I both put Tua and Daniel Jones in the block. And I got an offer of a second for Daniel Jones, and I snap accepted. I was like, yeah, second for Daniel Jones. That's fine. He's probably 1-year starter. And, I don't think I'm competing this year. So that's fine with me. And within 2 weeks, I was like, boy, did I screw up. Should not have done that trade. So yeah, I think he's base first level.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of where he's at too. And that's, I didn't really dig in too deep. It kind of happened when I was at work. I haven't really sat back and really taken it all in. But I do love that perspective where it's like, that does signal indirectly that they could be seeing Daniel Jones as the at least short-term solution here at quarterback, where his role is safe this year, obviously, but presumably maybe the next year or two as well. He's certainly playing like it, man. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the players we actually had on the show sheet. We're starting off with Kyle Monangai, who took full advantage of this great matchup while DeAndre Swift was gone up against the Bengals. Carried the ball 26 times, got 176 yards on those. Also got 5 targets, caught 3 of them, 22 yards, 22.8 PPR points in week 9 without even getting a touchdown. He played 73.8% of the snaps. He had 83.3% of the backfield opportunities on the day. Kyle Monangai, not this greatly heralded prospect coming into the NFL. He definitely had his fans, but he's a little undersized, not quite as athletic as he'd like, but like seems to just be a really hard runner and kind of gets it done. And he's kind of been working his way into a split with Swift to begin with. Like last couple of weeks, it's trended this way where it's closer to us, being a full on, split between them than anyone would have thought. The question now, though, is when Swift comes back, what's it going to look like? What do you think?
I'll probably say 60-40 in favor of Swift, maybe 55 if I'm being a little more conservative. I certainly love to see seventh round. I believe was he undrafted or seventh round?
Seventh round, yeah.
Seventh round rookies be able to do this in their rookie season. I'd love to see them succeed like this. It's rare that they do, but I think it was also like a perfect storm for him to find the success. First off, like Swift was hurt, and there was no other running backs on the roster besides special teamers. I think Travis Homer was technically the second running back who we understand he's a special teams player at this point in time. So there was no one else that was going to take any work from him. That was kind of already set. So he was going to get the load here. That's already a good situation for a running back, regardless of who you're playing. And then you look at their opponent, right? And it is the Cincinnati Bengals, who in the entire offseason, we were all pounding the table for Joe Burrow because we were like, this defense sucks. The Bengals are going to have to score 40 points a game to have any chance at winning, which ended up being true regardless of Burrow being hurt or not. But we were right about that defense being absolute dog water, man. I was taking a look at it. They are giving up the most points to quarterbacks through 9 weeks. They're giving up I believe, second or first most points to tight ends and running backs, and they're kind of mid-tier on the wide receiver thing. But it's because you don't need to throw the ball to move the ball against the Bengals. And then you look at DVOA, shout out FTN, and they are clearly the second worst team, worst defense overall. So it's like this is just the bottom tier, basement level defense in the NFL. If you have an offense that needs a get right week, hopefully you get to play the Bengals because you're going to be able to put up 40 points essentially. So I think it was just a perfect storm of, hey, there's literally no one else to give this volume to. And it's quite ideally, it's the most ideal matchup. It's the most perfect matchup. So it was good to see him do it, right? There's always that aspect of it where he has to still do it, and he did, and he looked good doing it. But I'm also kind of pumping the brakes a little bit where it's I don't think he's an RB1 or frankly an RB2 rest of season. I think he's kind of like a solid handcuff, probably a guy you can use in a pinch or in bye weeks. I still think Swift is going to be the guy going forward. Where do you fall? Why am I talking on my butt here, dude? Where you at?
No, I'm mostly with you. Like I was saying, it was already kind of a split to begin with heading into this past week. I don't think that changes all that much from where it was when Swift was healthy. Swift is also still the better pass catcher, even though Monangai has shown that he's capable, I'd say, in that area. That's definitely Swift's game more than him. So yeah, I think 55, 45, 60, 40, I think is where it will probably be. But I do want to say Chicago, they started off pretty pass heavy to start the season, but as of late, they've been more of a running team. They've really leaned into that post bye. I think there's a possibility where deep leagues, you're still flexing Monangai in some situations.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because I was like, I've been talking for 3 minutes straight. I got to let Y get in on this, and that was my next. That was my next take. I was like, they're finding a lot of success running the ball, and why would they stop? Prior to this game, we had 2 games in a row where Caleb Williams didn't throw a touchdown pass, right? So I think we always have realized that Caleb's kind of struggling. Obviously, he as every NFL player does, they right the ship when they play the Bengals
spot, as they would say.
yeah, exactly. So, but they have found success running the ball, and he touched the ball over 30 times. And when you do that, you look at the other teams, just for reference. There was not a single team that's played the Bengals that had a whole running back room that touched the ball 30 times against the Bengals, let alone one player. So I think it's just there's a level of just we saw a ridiculous amount of volume. The opportunity was given. The matchup was perfect. I certainly would be on the side of if somebody's overvaluing Kyle Monangai, I would be more than happy to move him if somebody was kind of a little concerned about, or I would say not concerned, but if somebody was hyping up what he's going to be able to do. I'm sure there's people out there that are oh, he's going to come for Swift's job because, Swift has looked suspect at times this year. That would be a case I would move him. I know a lot of people we play with in UI, that's not something we'd be able to pull off. But if somebody's listening to this and someone's knocking on your door for Kyle Monangai, I would be listening for certain.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And hey, maybe on the flip side of that, that means maybe check on DeAndre Swift in your leagues.
Absolutely,
Okay.
man. Could be a buy.
Yeah. Next player, another running back for us, Rico Dowdle. So he's taken this backfield straight up. He has taken Chuba's job. This week, coming into the week, we got to that coach speak that was like, wasn't fully cryptic, wasn't fully honest, but it really leaned towards, yeah, we're moving forward with Rico Dowdle. He's been clearly better than Chuba Hubbard this year. And he did it again in week 9 against a tough Packers defense. Over 130 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, was involved in the passing game again. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry, 8.8 yards per reception. I realize those are like basic stats, but I think it's like worth noting because then you look at Chuba and he's 3.6 and 7.9. Like the 3.6 yards per carry for Chuba versus Rico's 5.6 yards per carry. Like I realized yards per carry, it's not the most advanced stat, but I think when you could compare members of the same backfield, just looking at there's just such a drastic difference here. Rico Dowdle is playing super well. I think he fits what the Panthers want to do really well. The question now is just how high is he actually rest of season? Like, is he an RB1 for you?
I don't think so. I mean, I definitely think high end RB2. So I've been wrong on Dowdle. So I guess I need to preface that first. Like I Dowdle's like a bench this week. I was like, oh, he's still splitting with Chuba. The Packers have been like a top 8 defense against the running back. Get Dowdle on your bench. And I was like, damn, that looks stupid. And I actually sold Dowdle 2 weeks ago for a second and a third in Kareem Hunt, which frankly that it's not bad. I mean, I think that frankly I don't feel terrible about that right now. But I think it's just I was looking at the situation where it was like, hey, Chuba has got the contract. People love him in the locker room. He means a lot to this team. There's no way they're just gonna like take this role when they're paying, what does he have, like a 1 year, like $3 million deal or something like that to Dowdle. So I'm like, kind of looking through the context of the situation. I'm like, it's going to be a split. Well, you know what? The coach is rational here, and he has a good running back, and he's hot, and he's going to ride it. And I love to absolutely see it. My issue with the Panthers is like, I don't necessarily think they're a good offense, even with Dowdle. And I worry about the touchdown equity to like anoint him as like a top 12 running back. Clearly he's got the talent right now. Incredible story from what he's come through, what he's came from, what he's been able to do to look like one of the best running backs in the NFL in 2025. But am I going to say he's a top 12 back? Like, no, I'm not ready to do that. But certainly a high end RB2, I guess maybe is like kind of a cop out. I feel top 18 kind of feels like where I would be kind of comfortable putting him rest of season.
I think he's borderline RB1 personally. I think the Panthers, the one thing they do well is they run block pretty well. Yeah. Okay. And they seem to be just committed to running the ball. Like regardless of game script, no matter what's going on, they're kind of just like, we're going to continue to involve a running back.
It's working.
Yeah. But I want to put you to the test now here on Rico Dowdle rest of the season against some names. We'll really put this in perspective. Rico Dowdle or Ashton Genty? I'm
going Genty. I'd probably go Ashton Genty still there. Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. Genty's had some naysayers this season, but I still like it. And especially with Brock Bowers back.
Yeah, that whole
it's a different situation.
Gino looked like he was going to get benched one week. He looks like a top 15 quarterback. It was amazing what happens when Brock Bowers. Truly incredible, man.
Another name, Rico Dowdle or Kyren Williams?
I'll go Kyren still. I mean, we're seeing Corum get some run, but dude, again, touchdown equity. There's a lot of touchdowns to be had with that Rams offense, man. I would probably comfortably still go him. I mean, I'll just like throw some names out there where I think it's closer. Okay. I think, I have Javonte Williams ranked ahead of him rest of season, but I think that one I would listen to that argument. I think I'd rather have Judkins. Touchdown equity is an issue there too, but I trust Judkins. I mean, think about it this way. Touchdown equity is an issue with the Browns. Touchdown equity is an issue with the Panthers. They're both running the ball. But I think Judkins is just more talented, and they're both getting a lot of work. Judkins is just clearly better. I think where you're going to have a conversation with me and where I think the toughest call for me at this moment would be Breece Hall. Breece Hall rest of season and Dowdle.
I'm staring at that name.
Yeah, that's the one where I have to think to myself, like, damn, like I know Breece Hall is a better quarterback, better running back. Could be a better quarterback too, better running back. But I'm like, damn, like they're cleaning house. He doesn't want to play for the Jets anymore. Even this whole trade deadline thing aside, let's just say like Brees was like wanting to play for the Jets, I still would be concerned. So the only thing that's really propping up him is his pass catching ability right now. Like there's just nothing going on in this offense. So Dowdle and Brees Hall would be a tough one for me. And I would, there's some names I'm comfortable with Dowdle over, like J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, Jalen Warren, DeAndre Swift, right? I'm totally cool with Dowdle over those guys, but he's kind of in that like the range that I'm talking about right now is essentially like RB 15, 16-ish is where I'm
at. The two names that I was going to go to next were Quinshon Judkins and Brees Hall.
Yeah, Judkins for sure over, but Brees Hall, I'm willing to have that conversation. I definitely, for me, I'm just like, I always stick with the thing that, the true thing, the thing that I know, and I know Brees is better. But like, if you were like to really pound the table here for Dowdle over Brees, I'd be listening to you, and I could change my mind if we really wanted to go there.
I'm taking Judkins because kind of what you said basically is like, one, I think he's a better player at this point.
For sure.
No shade to Rico, but the role that he has for the Browns, even on what is possibly a worse offense than the Panthers, is like it's going nowhere. They are going to feed him week in, week out. It's the best part of their offense. They're going to continue to do it. There's at least a chance Chuba Hubbard gets healthier and, cuts into Rico Dowdle's workload at some point. Like, there are no concerns with that with Quinshon Judkins. Brees Hall, I would take Rico Dowdle over Brees Hall, even though Brees Hall is definitely the better player. That's a situation where I don't want a part of it.
He might just have a tight hammy for the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying?
Surprise me.
It's like, oh man, my hammy's feeling a little tight, guys. I don't think I can go out there. It wouldn't shock me if we saw something like that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick moment to hear about the DFS Dominator. And when we get back, we've got to talk about, unfortunately, Tucker Kraft's injury and what that might mean for Luke Musgrave.
So let's put our hoodie on and let's talk about Player Profiler's DFS Dominator. It has a cash game optimizer that leverages the projections from Billy and Bradley and Evan and that Player Profiler AI engine to create cash game lineups that certainly have a high floor, but also give you that ceiling. Now, you've probably heard about the most powerful tool of all, our Lineup Genius. We know winning GPPs requires a completely different approach, which is why our Lineup Genius takes you through the process of selecting the quarterbacks in the juiciest matchups. Then it highlights the stacks and runbacks that are available, lets you pick the chalk level, lets you pick the level of correlation with a number of other proprietary settings available to you. Click a button and it generates hundreds of lineups to be imported into FanDuel and DraftKings. And it's just $45 a year, not a week, a year. So go fight fire with a Player Profiler DFS Dominator.
Back here on press coverage with Tyler Orginski, and we've got to talk about Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, who is done for the year. Torn ACL, sad story. We mentioned Tucker Kraft earlier today before the show. We were in on him, one of our favorite tight ends. He was crushing. Tough to see him go. But now what does this mean for Luke Musgrave? After Tucker Kraft's injury, Musgrave played 23 of the 29 snaps for the Packers. He got 3 targets during that time, caught all of them, 34 yards. How are you feeling about Luke Musgrave with Kraft out?
Yeah, it's pretty meh, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, Tucker Kraft, forgive me for a second, but Tucker Kraft is a guy that I was absolutely pounding the table for. We all were. We have a group chat, Wyatt and some friends, and very much a pro Tucker Kraft one. I've written multiple times how I was like, he was kind of one of the, in drafts, in ADP, he was one of the last tight ends I was comfortable as my tight end one, right? Mm-hmm. And it worked out great. Pains me. Had him in a lot of spots, particularly in my best ball, and I don't want to go too deep there because that one really stings. But I think, it's very meh to me. Like, one, he's clearly not the player that Tucker Kraft is. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the bench. So that is factual. Regardless of draft capital, that is so long ago that we do not care about draft capital. Once there's, frankly, after one season, I could care less about draft capital. But after multiple seasons, that does not matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Ask Mark Andrews and Hayden Hurst. It does not matter whatsoever. So I think for me, he's like a streamer. I was kind of looking at names, and it's like, I'd rather have Fannin. I'd probably rather have Mark Andrews. If we're talking about waiver wire this week, I'd rather be spending my shekels on Colston Loveland for sure. I probably would, even with Mariota, I think we're talking about Zach Ertz, Juwan Johnson, Mason Taylor range with Musgrave. And I think the thing that's, driving optimism is like the unknown. We'll see how this goes. But in general, it's like we know that the Packers like to spread the ball around. Tucker Kraft is just so good that he demands a target share. But if I don't think there's a talent that can rise above like the entire wide receiver room, that it's just going to be a headache to where is this ball going to go on a week-to-week basis. First off, Packers, I mean, recently they've been passing the ball more, but traditionally all of last year and then most of the year this year, they've been probably one of the top 5, top 6 run-heavy teams in the NFL. Their identity is running the football. Good defense, Josh Jacobs, let's run the football, and if they can do it that way, they're going to do it, which already isn't good for a pass-catching room who's spread so thin. Jordan Love is suspect. He's a fine quarterback. I consider him pretty mid, but I'm also not – I don't think he's elevating teams, right? I don't think he's that kind of quarterback. So then when you kind of just look at what's left, it's like, you know, Christian Watson is back. Like Romeo Dubes has been pretty solid. Like I guess Wicks has been kind of hurt. Golden just got hurt, but he's been out there too. And it's just there's so many mouths to feed, and there's just not enough attempts, frankly, going around where I'm like, what are we expecting out of Musgrave? Like, he's not going to save your season, right? He's like a bye-week plug-in at best. He does not like Colston Loveland presents upside, like legitimate upside. And we saw that his first game in. To me, it's like Musgrave's like, you're hoping he catches a touchdown or gets like 5 for 60 on a given week. Cause I don't think he's that guy that kind of talent. And it's not that kind of offensive environment. So he's not a guy that I'm prioritizing when the waivers hit, man.
Yeah, I'm not that jazzed for Luke Musgrave. It's really important to remember that these are vastly different players in how they play the game as well. Tucker Kraft is a solid, good blocker in the run game and in the pass game. He's awesome in play action because of that, because he can do these things where he like chips a defensive end and then moves on, or, you know, gets to be involved in these different plays. And he's amazing after the catch. He just fits what the Packers want to do. Luke Musgrave didn't break a tackle in college. He's not a good blocker. He's gotten better since entering the NFL, but like that's not his game. Did he
really not break a tackle in college? Is that a real stat?
I'm quoting our buddy Andrew Cooper here. No tackles broken in college.
Dude, that's a bad one, man. That is a bad stat, dude.
Luke Musgrave is one of these more like move tight ends who kind of works the intermediate area of the field. And frankly, like that's not even what the Packers do. They do a lot of manufactured short area stuff and then deep things. I think Tucker Kraft injury, if anybody it's going to be helping, it's going to be helping the wide receivers.
Yeah, Romeo Dubes was the winner that I said for the injury. I think more stuff just goes to Dubes where he's like more he's in my opinion like the more de facto kind of all those targets kind of opened up. Like they might run the ball more, sure, but like Dubes has been pretty solid. He's like the only kind of like solid piece if we have one. So yeah, I love the call. Yeah,
maybe Jaden Reed when he comes back, maybe they
for sure
get him more involved in some of that manufactured stuff again. But yeah, like Luke Musgrave. Super deep leagues with really deep benches. Like I knew it's like Scott Fishbowl. I'm putting in a good bid for Luke Musgrave where it's tight end premium. You know, it's really big starting lineups, deep rosters. Like I'm interested there. You're just standard leagues. Like you said, this is a bye week fill in to me.
Nailed it, brother.
Okay. We've got another tight end on the menu, and that's Dalton Kincaid, who's honestly just having a really good season and one that I did not see coming. He's now averaging 13.2 PPR points per game this season. He had another great game in week 9, over 100 yards and a touchdown. He only has 2 games under 8 PPR points. He's been really good. The thing, though, is that it's on efficiency. He only has a 14.4% target share this season. And that's the lowest he's had since entering the NFL. He's been above that each of the 2 seasons prior. So now he's doing it differently than I think anybody expected. Because like the thing with Dalton Kincaid coming into this year, and one of the things that I was saying is that, yes, he's like had this role for the Bills, but it hasn't grown because he's this move tight end who can't block. He's got to play in the slot, but they also have a good slot wide receiver already. And he gets some volume, but like he's not that efficient with it. Now this year, the volume has dropped, but he's incredible on the opportunities he's getting. Is this variance? Is this Dalton Kincaid stepping up his game? Like, what do you think's going on here? Are you excited for Kincaid? Like, what's going on?
Brother, I have been fading Kincaid almost every week and been taking fat L's, dude. It's
same.
Because it's like one of those situations where I'm like let me just look at this. Like, I literally had to pull it up here on my phone. A shout out Sleeper for having like the snap counts and everything. But like, he was the tight end 1 in week 1 on a 51% snap count. He was the tight end 3 in week 3 on a 55% snap count. He was the tight end 8 in week 5 on a 54% snap count. And he was the tight end 3 last week against the Chiefs on a 35% snap count.
His role was not good.
This is not like you basically like just on snap count alone, I'm fading this guy and it's making me look ridiculously dumb.
Yeah.
Because like if you were to tell me like, oh, Tyler, start a tight end whose snap count has not been above 55% halfway through the season, I'd be like, there's zero chance I'm starting a platoon tight end. And then you tell me he's like the tight end 8. So like, dude, I think you should start. You should keep starting Dalton Kincaid. I don't have him anywhere. I traded him away this offseason. And the one team I had, I'm like, I'm not starting him anywhere. But like, if you got him, I mean, smoke him while you got him, dude, because hey, it's happening right now. I'm gonna stop saying he's a sit for sure. Like I'm done. He's burned me, making me look dumb. But like, is it sustainable? History would tell me no, right? My numbers tell me no. But at the same time, we have to just come to realize that like maybe he can just get 20 to 30 snaps a game, and when Josh Allen's your quarterback, you can make it work, man. It's an outlier situation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, top 8 tight end rest of the season. Yeah, I think we're halfway through the season and he's still doing it. So like, yes, it's happening. It's kind of like Robert Tonyan's touchdown season where it was like, yeah, he's like barely out there, but he doesn't stop catching touchdowns. He's like doing it. So I guess you kind of just have to believe that's going to happen. That's where I am. I think it's for that simple. He's top 8 rest season pretty easily just because of how efficient he's being. And I don't see why it would stop at this point.
Yeah, it's Josh Allen and there's not anybody else. Like anytime he's out there running a route, there's not a single person that's running a route that I'm afraid of. Like James Cook has caught like 4 balls in the last 4 weeks or something like that. Like
that's an odd one. I'll never understand.
Yeah, I mean this whole offense, dude. I guess when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, your offense doesn't have you can do whatever you want. I mean, there's no wide receiver that I'm like this guy's going to be commanding looks over Dalton Kincaid. So it is just an outlier. Definitely kind of like an offensive situation where they make it work and it happens. Like James Cook's like a top running back and doesn't catch any balls. Like, how's that even possible? Like it's the Bills, man. It's the Bills. I think you just after half the season's gone, we just got to accept that, hey, this is what they're doing. We know they're a good team. Keep it up. Hope it sticks.
Yeah. All right. One more tight end for the day. Last player of the day, the aforementioned Colston Loveland, who finally broke out in week 9. 7 targets, 6 catches, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns, the game-winning touchdown, almost 30 PPR points. He ran 75% of the routes, played over 81% of the snaps. Yes, Cole Kmet was hurt in this game, mid-game, but this is something that's been trending this way as well, and it makes sense that Colston Loveland would eventually take over this room because Cole Kmet, solid player, but we know who he is. Colston Loveland, highly drafted prospect, really good prospect coming into the NFL. Took a little bit longer to get going, also dealt with some injuries, but big game in one of the easiest matchups, if not the easiest matchup for a tight end. So we do have to take that little bit of grain of salt. But something you said earlier and something that I'm a big proponent of is players have to do it. You know, I think even when it's against a matchup where they're supposed to do it, sometimes it doesn't happen. And games like this can help build the confidence in a player for them to continue to do it throughout the rest of the season. Now, you kind of already touched on where he kind of is moving forward, but let's get into details here. How are you feeling about him rest of the season?
I mean, I feel great about it. I feel like a tight end to come around in week 9 that I think has top 10, top 12 upside is pretty rare. So for me, it's like, if you're hurting at tight end, I would have no problem emptying the clip at this point in time for Colston Loveland, right? I think rest of season, I would probably rather have him over Kyle Pitts, Fannin, Henry, obviously Hawkinson. I think like
I'm with you. Yeah.
Goddard would be an interesting one. I mean, I think like when you get to like the Ferguson, Laporta, Gadsden range, I feel like I would rather have those guys. But like if you swung and missed on Gadsden, you probably were thinking, damn, I'm streaming. This sucks. Well, Loveland come right back along and gives you another opportunity, that kind of level player where they can command a legitimate target share on an offense that can be good, right? It's not going to be as easy as it was this last week, but at the same time, I think you mentioned it. Like he was taken so highly in the draft. Michigan didn't run the ball a lot. I mean, Michigan ran the ball a lot, but didn't pass the ball a lot. But if you just look at kind of like his share of the passing opportunity, it was quite elite in college. Yeah. So, and I think there's this other piece, and I was just talking about this the other day, where it's like we forgot that we sometimes need to normalize that A, rookies and B, tight ends might take a little bit longer to come around. Like that traditionally is what we have seen. While, I don't have the data in front of me, it has kind of seemed like some rookies have, taken less time to come around. Maybe they're just given the opportunities and they weren't given them in the past. But what I'm getting at here is we shouldn't be looking negatively upon Colston Loveland for not having a good first half of his rookie season. Right. And I don't think we need to look at that negatively. And historically, we have kind of given tight ends a pass if they didn't have a good rookie season, right? Compared to other positions, especially. So I think it's like, he didn't have a good first half of the season. He also wasn't given a lot of opportunities. Tight end is a really complicated and hard position to figure out. You got to know how to block and you got to know how to run routes. And to be able to do both those things well is a really hard thing to do at the NFL level. So for me, I just look at Colston Loveland as kind of like, hey, if you're sitting there, you drafted TJ Hawkinson. And you're like just praying that like he was going to be the guy and you've been missing out on waivers, or you're hoping for an Njoku and, Fannon's came and poured some hot water on that. Or maybe you're hoping for like Evan Ingram and that hasn't worked out and you've been streaming ever since. Like this, I believe is probably, I said it last week with a couple weeks ago with Gadsden, but I truly believe Loveland is probably your last opportunity at a difference maker at tight end if you need one.
Yeah, I'm with you. The way you detailed like where we hit the level of tight end, where he's starting to reach, but not quite there. I agree with you completely. And, I think a lot of people out there might say, well, like all the mouths to feed in the Bears offense. But if you really break it down, it's not that bad. Yes, Rome Odunze seems to be the future of the passing game, although lately
they clearly don't need to feed him.
Yeah, hasn't been so much. DJ Moore, I love you. Shout out to you. Been a big fan for a while. Let's be honest. Not looking like DJ Moore of the past anymore. Luther Burden is hurt and has been unable to crack the lineup. Olamide Zacchaeus, like, do we really think he's holding anybody back other than Luther Burden, I guess? But do you think he's holding him back at tight end? Like, there's room for him to grow in this offense and continue to command more and more opportunity as the season goes along.
Yeah, man. It's I'm excited to get some waiver bids in on Loveland. I think I'm going to be more aggressive than people are expecting. So.
Empty the clip.
Empty the clip. What are you waiting for, man? Like that's right. If you got Fab right now, and you're in tight end premium,
you need a tight end.
Like what do you? You're nothing else is coming along, pal. Like I'm sorry. Like it could, sure, but like you got to think like Fab loses value every week because you're getting less gameplay from the players you're picking up. So I mean, I'm a big fan of emptying the clip before halfway through the season, let alone like at the halfway point. So I'm here for it, man.
All right. Love it. Tyler, always a pleasure having you here with me. Before we get out of here, let everyone know where to find you, find your work.
Everything is over at FTN. Got some articles coming out on a weekly basis, doing the start-sit stuff over there. Doing some lovely YouTube content, which is new for me, but you can find that obviously on YouTube. Got a podcast. That is called the Crossing Routes Podcast. Fueled by FTN with my main man Herms. And then I'll be in the Discord all the time. FTN's got a Discord. I'm in there talking to the subscribers, start questions, just general football stuff. And obviously you'll be able to find my ranks that are in the Fantasy Pros accuracy competition, but those are going to be found on FTN as well. So FTN, company man, all the way.
Appreciate you again on this side of things. Everybody, if you've not liked and subscribed, please do so. You can follow me on Twitter at @YB_FF. Check out my weekly usage report that drops every single Monday throughout the season. Sign up to Fast Draft. Use code Wyatt for a $50 deposit match. See you next time. Good night.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.